Good morning.
Good morning.
How
Lily
was your
wants to be
weekend?
on the podcast today too, so
Pumpkin was just in my lap. How was your weekend?
um low key,
Good.
actually.
Very
Yeah.
good.
We went Violet wanted to go see Wicked, so that had to be like the first thing we did on Saturday, which was like it's a good movie, but it is pretty torturous for me. Like it's
Really?
so long and
Oh yeah.
like just sitting in a movie theater is kind of hard for me because my back and like
Yeah. I always just wait till it's on Prime and then watch it.
ugh. Well, I felt like
So
I was being the Wicked thing is a very weird. There's like several groups of middle-aged women, like with no children,
yeah.
and they're like cheering
Are
and
they
like
all dressed
singing
up in
along.
green and pink?
No, not that I noticed. There was a little boy in a full-on Glinda costume, which he was getting a lot of attention, of course. So it's just very like
So
odd.
we have a special guest. Um,
Hi.
this is Michael Galloway. Michael is my Krav Maga instructor. I'm going to let him kind of introduce himself, but Michael, just give us a little bit about your background in Krav, how you got into it, and kind of what you're doing now. Well,
Thank you for having me on, ladies. My name is Michael Galloway. I'm the lead instructor for Force of One Self-Defense, which is primarily Krav Maga. Krav Maga is a plethora of different skill sets. It is self-defense. It's not a sport like a lot of them are. We don't really have rules other than to survive. Krav Maga itself is probably one of the most efficient and effective forms of self-defense on the planet, and it's really the easiest to learn. It's kind of built like an onion, and I tell people in the class, everything that you'll do as a level one entry level person, you're going to do when you're an expert. You're just going to have 10 or 15 things built on top of the level one technique. And that's another thing. We do techniques. We don't do katas. This is not a traditional martial art. It's not a martial art at all. It means Krav Maga itself means contact combat. And obviously, it was developed by the Israelis for the IDF, and it kind of proliferated through the special forces and mainstream militaries and police forces, and then it went mainstream to the average Joe. Um, what we do is a combination of a lot of different martial arts. We cherry pick the parts that would be useful in self defense for us. For instance, Heather can tell you she's learned how to kick like Taekwondo or karate. We do groundwork, jujitsu, although Krav Maga has a slightly different philosophy of jujitsu than most jujitsu people have. Most of them live on the floor. Uh, the only way we're going to be on the floor is if somebody put us there. And most fights go to the ground eventually. So we got to learn how to get back up on our feet and get away, fight out and get away. We don't want to stay there and fight, but we learned we learned the ground jujitsu type tactics because there's times where you may not be able to get up. The other guys just may have some size on you, and you have to learn how to take them on the ground. We do Kali stick fighting. We teach you how to defend knives and pistols and rifles, and we actually teach you how to shoot because and use the knives because we don't want to teach you how to take away something that you can't defend yourself with once you have it. We teach you how to we teach you how to fight. It's kind of if you look at it, it's more of an MMA style fighting. Um, we're more boxers than we are standing sideways and kicking like somebody in Taekwondo would. It's more like a kickboxing type style. We also we teach you, and I think probably the biggest part of it is how to be situationally aware and prepare yourself for what happens on the street. Most martial arts, um, they're very steeped in tradition, and they don't evolve with what's going on outside of a ring. And most of those guys that get in there, they're either trying to win a championship or they're getting paid money to get beat up. And that's not what we do. We try to make ourselves better than what we are. So when we go outside and they're predators all over the place. All right, even some of the nicest people you meet are predators, and they're the ones trying to get next to you so that they can hurt you. So you have to be situationally aware with the people that you're dealing with. Situational awareness is anything from walking down the street with earbuds in and not paying attention to what's going on around you because you're too busy texting your friend. It could be that you want to be too much of an individual and you want to know that I can go jog anywhere that I want to and nothing's ever going to happen to me. Well, that's not a really good way of thinking about things because
Mhm.
there are bad people riding up and down the road constantly, and all they have to do is pull over and grab you and pull you into that vehicle and take off, and so they would never see you again.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to pay attention to what's going on around you and not do something or go with somebody else or go to a safer place. Situational awareness could be paying attention to changes in your household, um, your your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you have living there with you. Could be just a roommate. Maybe something has changed in their life, and they take it out on you. Um, Maybe they get into alcohol or drug addiction, and you're the first person that they see. And generally, and you ladies probably know this, when you're friends with somebody, who do you vent to? Your friends, right? And you may not mean it to be in a mean sort of way, but sometimes that friend might say, "Man, she's jumping down my throat." Uh, Add alcohol or drugs to the equation with somebody that's in your household, and that venting becomes abuse. So, and that's an unfortunate part of our society, but it happens every
Mhm.
day. Um, what we try to teach you how to do in class is fight in when you're in an area. Let's say you're in a house and you've got coffee tables and you have couches and your bed or whatever, or you're on the street, you're out the door and you've got steps, you've got curbs, you've got rocks and glass on the ground. We teach you how to pay attention to what's going on around you, not just how to fight back. Because you can be the best fighter in the world and somebody gets a good shot in on you and you fall down and crack your noggin and they're on top of you. And everything that you just did was for naught. So you have to learn how to fight out of situations like that. Now, Krav Maga is, well, I said it was the easiest to learn. It is. It's very easy. The techniques are easy, but on the flip side of that, it's not easy. It is physical, and it should be physical, because when somebody with ulterior motives puts their hand on you, do you think they're going to be nice to you? No, they're not. They're trying to. You're the means to an end for them, whatever that end may be, and they're gonna go hard on you. So you have to meet fire with fire. You have to learn how to go hard too. For ladies, and this is one of the hardest things you find in society is most women have been taught to be nice and polite and ladylike and so on and so forth. And I'm not saying you know everybody is like that, okay? But generally, you know what I'm talking about. Well, you have to find that switch in you. We call it the She-Hulk switch. You have to find that switch in you that you can turn on and off in order to defend yourself when that time comes up. Now, I'm not saying like go pick a fight with somebody. Hey, I'm bigger than you and I'll bust you up or take a frying pan to them. But at the same time, when somebody puts their hands on you, you've got to know how to get those hands off. Say, don't touch me. I don't like that.
Hmm.
Stand back. All right. Give me time. Okay. And if that doesn't work, then you need to get yourself away from the situation, whatever that may be. And we talk about domestic violence. Domestic violence is one of the biggest things the biggest things that you have to be aware of, um, because a lot of times you're in love with that person, and you don't think that they could do any wrong. They would never hurt you, but in most cases, it is somebody that you know, especially with sexual violence. It really is. So you you have when I say you have to be aware of the changes, you do have to be aware of the changes. And if you can't get them help, maybe they become controlling or abusive. At some point, it cannot be a revolving door anymore. You got to get away from it. All right, it's toxic. It's not healthy for you, and it's going to do. That part of your life is going to be a boat anchor. And you got to ask yourself this question: Do do I want to live like that? Do I want to live with bruises on my face? Because that's what's going to end up happening, or you might end up even worse.
Hmm.
So, um, it takes a little while, and it is physical, but um, it's challenging, but we make it so that it's very safe. We choreograph the moves so that you can dry drill them alone or practice them with a partner and not hurt your partner or hurt yourself. Right. And Heather can tell you that she's been doing it for a little while. Um, are you going to get bumps and bruises from time to time? Yes, you are. But there's no fighting style on the planet where you're not. And if you're taking a fighting style for any reason and you don't want bumps and bruises, well, you better pick something else to do because you're going to get them. But it's not something that happens 24/7. I mean, we do a lot of different kinds of techniques, and many of them don't require you to get hurt or bruised or at all. So I'll get off my soapbox here and let you guys, maybe you could ask a question or.
Hmm.
I do want to interject really quick. I think one thing that is not talked about a lot in our community as bodybuilders is there's actually, I think, quite a bit of hidden domestic abuse. And it doesn't usually become uncovered until that person is out of that situation. So, first and foremost, want to plug in that if you are experiencing this, you need to reach out and seek help. Second of all, something like this, part of someone asked me, and maybe I addressed it on a Get Ready With Me or something, how I got started in Krav Maga. And, I got started as a self-defense course. I just went, it was like a 6 week, it was Michael's class. Michael was going to my gym and, there were flyers everywhere. Anyway, I went and my instinct, everybody talks about fight or flight, fight or flight. My instinct is freeze. So there's a third one, like if my husband was to jump out and like startle me, I just, that was my reaction. And that was the one thing that I wanted to make sure that I had to train out of my brain was okay, those few seconds where I'm like mentally disabled are critical to my survival in that moment. And so having something like this, even though it's not, like you said, it's not super choreographed, but it does give you reaction drills
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So now if I see something flying at my face, I'm a lot more instinctual to go
Hmm.
like this instead of just to freeze and get smacked. And so,
Like a
but
muscle memory.
yeah, exactly. It's a lot of that. And, as the levels progress, you do build onto that, but you never lose sight of your basics. So not everything is going to be this super complicated series of moves. Sometimes it's just react quickly and get away as fast as you can. And so, I think it's very valuable, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we do address that there is a lot of that domestic hidden in this community when you're heightened on performance enhancing, hormone altering medications. And I'm not just talking about men abusing women, it goes both ways in the sport, very much so. And so if you are experiencing that, reach out, find help. You're not alone, but you cannot stay in that situation out of fear for your safety, you're a lot more in danger in your current situation. So anyway, Angela, any
Yeah.
what are your
No,
thoughts
No,
there?
I think that's really so important to mention. And kind of when you're both talking, honestly, I love that you're talking about like even starting before the muscle memory and being situational and aware and I have a 13-year-old daughter, and even seeing her in the community and being so mindful of like situational awareness and like you said, we're taught from a very young age as women, especially to be like kind and to be gentle. And but then I see a reel the other day where a scam that's coming up is a woman pulls up in a van and asks a young girl for directions, which is a very common thing. Like that can happen all the time, right? But then from the back of the vehicle comes a man when the girl gets close to grab the girl. And that's how, and I can see so innocently my 13-year-old daughter going over to a vehicle to be kind, right? To answer for directions just innocently. And so, that is just it that's how a lot of those situations happen. I can see it happening. So, what age do you think that this could be something that would be appropriate for like a young teenager?
absolutely. We actually teach in our group classes. We have
Mhm.
teenagers, middle school age and up. We do teach uh, younger than that on a kind of case by case basis. Um, some of the material, I mean, where I trained, the main training that I did was with Krav Maga Global, and I was in Florida, and that's kind of the flagship of Krav Maga. If you know anything about the Krav Maga move, um, but they do a lot of training with 5 and 6 year olds and up.
Wow.
We right this minute, our facility, because we moved to a different facility, and it's just not quite big enough, and I don't have the teaching personnel in place yet. I do have two other assistant coaches and one former MMA fighter who helps teach jujitsu. But it takes with little kids, you have to pay special attention because this is not doing katas. Um, we're teaching them how to we're teaching them how to kick people in the groin and
Hmm.
and do different things like that.
Hmm.
And so you don't want a child going to school that hasn't learned reasoning yet. You want them to be take care of themselves, but you don't want to let them get in school and say, "Oh, well, we were taught how to
Yeah.
do X, Y, and Z to defend ourselves. Let me show you."
Yeah.
So that's something that you really have to be wary of when you're teaching these kinds of things. Now, like I said, we do it on a case by case basis. With the middle schoolers and up, we take them from 13, 14 and up generally. Um, as
I
far as
know
the
a lot
rate
of the
goes,
self-defense courses, mothers and daughters do them together.
yeah,
Hmm.
And
they
then you
do.
can practice at home together. And one thing I think Force of One is going to start offering are Zoom classes. So you can do it like you and your daughter could do it in your living room.
Oh, wow.
You
That's
know,
so
you could even
cool.
have like Corey watch in so that
Hmm.
when y'all are at home, like Corey can come grab you and your daughter
Yeah.
can work on how to get away from someone much, much larger than her, which I think is
Hmm.
really important to have someone that can apply enough pressure. One thing that, and it's scary, but one thing that we do in our training courses is actually get choked because
Yeah.
when you lose your airway, you panic. And so it's also, oh crap, how do I react now that my brain went to panic mode and you
Hmm.
forget everything sequentially that you've
Yeah.
learned. So having someone with her that can learn the moves and y'all practice together, but also having someone like Corey that can, in a safe place, provide a little
Hmm.
bit of pressure there so that she
Hmm.
can really see, like, oh, this is different than my mom grabbing my arm.
Right. And I think just for women in general, like Tori's talked about this, we've talked about this before too. Like, I think sometimes as women, especially bodybuilders, like we think like I could get away. Like I'm like if like I've taken self-defense, nothing like this before, but I think like, oh yeah, I'm just waiting for some guy to grab me so I can try my moves on him.
Try
But
me.
like, yeah, exactly. Go ahead and try me. But when you have a man, even a small man, especially when his intent is not good and he is heightened, as a woman, you're probably not going to be able to get away using your regular techniques. Like you're not stronger than a man. Like you're just
That
not.
people all drugged out get really, really sweaty. So they're
Yeah.
very slippery,
Yeah.
so trying to like grab someone to control that's like covered in sweat and not rational,
Yeah.
is that's a whole different mindset to deal with something. And then,
Like I'm stronger and you're stronger than the average female probably, but if a man has intent, if you don't have this training and a man has intent to take you, he's probably going to take you.
well, that too,
You know,
and knives are so common. So it's not just you fighting off someone's person. It's you being aware of, oh crap, they just reached around their back and now there's a knife in play and stuff like that. So, um, Michael, what were you gonna say?
one of the things that we talked about how women are raised, and even, and I will tell you this is even for guys too. I've met a lot of guys who have never been in any kind of altercation in their life, and they would pull me aside and say, "Mike, I've never hit anyone. I've never been hit. I'm actually terrified to be out here." All right, for a guy, that's, to be quite honest with you, some of that is a little emasculating. It really is,
Hmm.
because they're supposed to be the masculine man, the protector of
Hmm.
the house, and so on and so forth. With
Hmm.
women, the one thing that sometimes that you notice, if you don't know how to turn the She-Hulk on in training, you're never going to know how to turn it on in real life. And you have to, you have to be able to hit hard and not be afraid if a guy or a girl is trying to hurt you, or worse, you have to be able to hurt them back.
Hmm.
You can't take it easy on them. Now, with that being said, it's the least amount of force necessary to get somebody under control. You can't just go, and if you've got somebody under control, you just can't continue to beat them into oblivion. You have to be able to turn it off and bring that adrenaline down. So, a part of learning how to do what we do is to control that
So
adrenaline.
much
Think
control.
through a fight, and what you were talking about, Heather, the fight or flight, that is actually a part of the fighting, um, is being able to ramp your adrenaline up when you need it, and being able to think through the fog. Think strategically while you're in the middle of the fight or defending yourself, so that A, you don't get hurt, and B, you don't do more than you need to do. Because if you do more than you need to do, you're the one that's going to be on the stand. And
Hmm.
when I say the one that's on the stand, and I don't want to scare people to death, but you can't just go and hurt somebody because you're mad. It happens all the time. You see it. There are different. You have judicial activists out there, unfortunately, and in different areas of the country, they allow, the guy that just did set the girl on fire in on the train. He was arrested 71 or 72 times before. You have to be able to do enough to get
Yep.
away, or you have to know that if I have to go all the way. It depends on what's happening at the time in your situation. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that inside of them, and they're
Hmm.
afraid of it if they do. And
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing. And so when you start training, you learn how to ramp that thing up and bring it back down and think through it, and be commonsensical about it.
Hmm.
And
And
I
that
think
training is so important. It's just like as you guys are talking, I just think about like how similar this is just to our bodybuilding lifestyle and like everything that we do in bodybuilding is preparation, right? It prepares us for the moment, from our posing to our preps that we do for shows. Even our off seasons are all about preparation. And so now I'm thinking like it's not surprising that this is something like this is so appealing to, a pro bodybuilder like Heather, because it's preparing you for the moment. And saving it will save your life, actually. So that's,
Well, it's just
we
more of that
talked about
mental
that actually.
fortitude.
what's
Heather
that,
and I
Heather?
talked about the focus and the strategy that goes into bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is not just going out and throwing up as much weight as you can
Right.
throw up. You have to be strategic about the muscle groups that you're working and how you're working them. And that's the same thing as fighting, or
Hmm.
learning how to fight proficiently or defend yourself
Hmm.
proficiently. You have to be strategic about it, and you have to be able to think through it. and because it can be painful, and when you're in a lot of pain, sometimes you want to give up, but
Yep.
you can't do that.
It's really teaching you to rely more on your discipline than your emotions. And it's like in these situations are very emotionally driven, right? That's like your physiological will take over unless you have disciplined yourself to take over, with strategy in your mind, just like in bodybuilding. So that's really interesting.
Just
Exactly.
another level of self-control and self-discipline and training that mental reaction and fortitude, and we talk about how like that discipline in your diet and everything and training really carries over into every other aspect of your life because if you can control that you can, or if you can live hungry and not overeat
Hmm.
really, then it really establishes a lot of discipline in every other area of your life. And so I think too, when it comes to people that have that kind of mindset, something like this is very appealing because it does just further train that mind muscle. Um, and it's just another layer, but it's also another physical outlet, which is really nice. Like I find that it's really good for like an endorphin release for me, just the training. And I take like twice a week classes right now, but even just going once a week, like I looked forward to that time because it was a great expression, but it was something outside of the gym that gave me a mental and physical outlet. And it was something unique, but also life preparation. We talked a little bit about, and I want to get into this a little bit more about situational awareness.
Hmm.
And I'm going to throw out a few and then I'll let Michael build on it if he feels the need to. But, he already talked about when you're walking to your car, paying attention, not looking at your phone. One thing I want to mention
Or
is
on walks. Most of us go for walks every
being
day.
very
So,
aware.
mhm.
Like I usually have some kind of concealed something on me. Um, but I also have learned how to use it. I'm not just willy-nilly having something that's actually might be more of a danger when you don't probably know if someone takes it from you, what to do with it.
Mhm.
However, like I have a defensive keychain. I wear that keychain around my knuckles when I walk to and from places. I'm not looking down at my phone. I'm very aware. I scan. Is there anybody standing near or around my car? Am I able to get in my driver's seat without anybody near me, at a gas station, locking your car when you get out of it, because people will straight up steal your car if you're not at the driver's side, even when you're pumping gas, paying attention to that. I had a situation inside the perimeter of Atlanta, which women, when you're by yourself in Atlanta, you do not stop inside the perimeter by yourself, okay, ever. You will go outside of the perimeter to get gas, come back in. um, and I was pumping gas and I knew I was in a sketchy area. I immediately put my husband on FaceTime and I was like, you will stay on the phone with me until I'm gone. Well, as I'm pumping gas, I have a man coming at me from this direction, walking on foot, walking straight towards me. There's nobody else in the parking lot. And as he's walking towards me, another car comes and blocks me in and they roll down their window. Well, I had a gun in my waistband. All I had to do was show that I had a gun in my waistband and they were like, oh crap, and they drove off. What were you planning to do? What if I had not
Mhm.
had that? Because when I'm in professional clothes, you can't tell I'm a bodybuilder.
Mhm.
So although when we're out in gym clothes, we're not the ideal like victim, um, we can still look like a victim when we're not showing off our musculature.
Mhm.
And there was something that someone said that's like an attacker, and it was probably Michael, that an attacker decides within like 2 or 3 seconds if you're a victim or not. If you have that, and I want him to do that, but I have one more situational awareness. If you're on public transit, do not sit with your back to anybody. You go to the back. You sit with your back. You are front facing. There should be
Mhm.
nobody you can't see. Pay attention.
Mhm.
And that's one thing I've learned, like in a restaurant, I'm not sitting with my back to the door ever. My husband won't either. So sometimes we often are sitting like side
Mhm.
by side with the door. But it's just also just being very aware of like your positioning in places. Okay, what's behind me? Um, what's in front of me? And then like I watch anybody that moves around me. And like, am I paranoid? No, I'm just aware.
Well, you have to be too in this day and age, especially like even in public events. Like I don't go into a public event without knowing where the exit is. Like I know where the closest exit is anytime, even when I'm in the stupid movie theater, because people are insane now. So you have to be more aware than ever.
Exactly. You know, Heather brought up a good point about being aware when you're in parking lots and things like that. And one in our women's courses, we especially in our 6 week course. We do the end of it. We do carjacking and kidnapping and things like that with a vehicle. And sometimes it's about where you park and how you park. Um,
Good to know.
Ladies, I would tell you anytime you can, even if you're an athlete and want to walk off lunch, don't park all the way in the back of a Walmart parking lot and walk a quarter of a mile to the front door. Um, there are guys that all the time that drive up and down those parking lots. Where if you're a predator and you're after a prey, where do you go? That's a question for you. If
Mhm.
you're a predator and you're looking for prey, where do you go?
Where females go, like the gym.
Where the prey is.
The
It's
mall, shopping
female. It can
mall.
be
Yep.
females. It can be children of both sexes.
hmm
Um, even men sometimes. It's rare, but even men sometimes. It just depends. Um, where you park your car matters in a parking lot. We tell you to always park under a light if you can. Park as close to the building as you can. Turn your tag, the butt end of your car, toward the building. And there's a reason for that. That's so that you can get to your doors easier. And if you can't, if somebody's trying to attack you, you can make it back into the building easier. If you ever feel uncomfortable, there are security personnel, even managers of those buildings, and they are required to walk you to your car. I used to be in uh, asset protection for a large retailer. I was an executive and I taught internal and external investigations. So I know what I'm talking about.
hmm
They're required to do those things. If you see somebody following you around a store, um, like I said, predators go where the prey is, and you're inside of a store. Who are the majority buyers for any family? Who are the majority shoppers?
Females, the women, the
Females.
moms,
If they're mothers, who are with them? The children.
the kids.
What do they carry with them most of the time? Can you see that big rock on your finger?
Oh,
Your pocketbooks, all of
hmm
your financial information inside of those pocketbooks, and whatever else you can carry in there. Every single day we used to watch people steal. They would push a cart, they would steal out of your pocketbook every day, or they would walk around and take pictures with little cameras with their phones, or I've seen them try to grab children and take them out of the building. It happens constantly. Those buildings, especially, they see hundreds and hundreds of people a day, hundreds of people a day, and a lot of times it's it's chaotic in those buildings. So when is the best time for the bad guy to go hunting? When it's chaotic, when he
hmm
doesn't think anybody else is paying attention.
Yeah, can
And
just blend in.
right, if you're
hmm
not paying attention to your pocketbook or your backpack or if you're wearing too much jewelry in a place you shouldn't be wearing too much jewelry in, because that's 100% profit for any of those people.
hmm
All right, and like I said, you're a means to an end for them. So what are they going to do? If they have to, they're going to attack you for it. So you got to kind of, sometimes you have to tone it down a little bit when you go in those places. Being aware doesn't mean you have to live in a box. It
hmm
just means that you're paying attention, and you should. You should pay attention to if you have a white van or whatever color van or a large vehicle, park beside your vehicle in a parking lot
hmm
because people can't see you over there, especially at night or somebody milling around in the parking lot. Don't go out there. Have somebody walk you out. If you're if you're getting gas at a gas station, Heather just brought this up. You're pumping gas. Somebody comes up to hold you up. What do you do with the gas nozzle? Turn that thing around and spray them with that gasoline.
hmm
I'm not kidding. If they're trying to hurt you, you got to do what you got to do. Point the tail end of your car toward that building where the best cameras are. And that way, getting in or out of the car, you can't be trapped as easily. And you can run back in the building if you need to. Don't park with your tail, in other words, away from from the store.
I think
Um,
it's so important, and also like what you're making me think about too is like that, you have to be okay with like not being the nice person. Like people, I also own a salon, so I work with a lot of young girls a lot, and seeing like what you're saying for us, a little bit of this is common sense now that we're a little bit older, and I'm a mom. But for these like young girls in their 20s, like this is not you. I'm oftentimes shocked at how not situationally aware that they are. And then also how they're afraid to be like mean. And like those are bad guys. They have bad intent. It's okay. Like and you if somebody makes you feel uncomfortable in your bubble, like I don't care. If it's just me and you and a man comes to walk and he's gonna walk right next to me to pass me or and I'm walking on the sides of the woods, I'm going to the opposite side of the street. I don't care if that like if he gets offended, like, oh, you think I'm a bad guy, or if he's a different race than me, like, I don't care. If it comes to my protection or hurting your feelings, it's gonna be your feelings. So but I think a lot of, especially again, going back to being women, like we think like, oh, we don't want to be rude or whatever, but people don't realize like that is when the bad situations happen. They're counting on you not wanting to be rude. They're literally counting
right.
on that.
Exactly.
And then another thing too with the situational awareness is, and I know we know this, and a lot of but younger people don't. The windshield wipers are tucking in your mirrors. They do something that you have to stop and fix on your vehicle, or like the zip ties or something. So it's like something that draws your attention. You pause, you look at it. If you notice that on your car, you get in and you drive off. You fix it when you get to a safe place. Don't stop and adjust it in that parking lot because and that was something we did as kids. Like when I was in high school, we'd flip up everybody's mirrors like as a joke.
Mhm.
Okay, it may be a joke. It may not be though. So drive off, drive somewhere else, and then fix it.
When
100%.
you guys are doing
I,
your training, do you cover all different types of environments? Like, say somebody was to like come into my home versus being out in public. Do you talk about like how to address a situation based on your environment?
We do,
um,
and we'll even learn how to fall, how to be pushed against a wall. I know in the women's courses, sometimes he'll take them outside. Will do attacks in a parking lot, or like if you are getting in your car and someone pushes you into the passenger seat and gets in, what do? You're now in
Mm.
a closed box. I'll let him talk more, but yes,
we do teach you how to fight out of those particular situations. Um, the the whole thing about self-defense is being aware of your surroundings. And a lot of people think it's just about going in there and sparring and getting hit, being hit, and all that good stuff. Yes, we teach you how to do that. But self-defense is about not getting hit.
Mm.
It's
Hmm.
about not getting yourself in a situation where you're going to be attacked. And that's what we try
Mm.
to the message we try to portray to the students is don't put yourself in a situation and don't be ridiculous.
Hmm.
It's you could be harmed doing certain things. If somebody attacks you, do whatever you can do to deflect it. Don't be hit because when you're hit, it's going to hurt. You don't have to hit people in self defense. I mean, honestly, somebody can punch at me constantly, and I can block. I'm good enough to block them all,
Hmm.
and that's good enough. I don't want to be hit. All right, I don't get hurt if I'm not hit. So if you're a good defender, you've that's more than half the battle.
Yeah. It's like there's levels to this. Right?
Exactly.
And it's like the first level is like, don't put yourself in this situation. It's like you have
Don't
a
put
lot more
yourself there.
control. It's so interesting. I never thought of it like that. Like self-defense really is like not putting yourself in. And every time you're saying something, I'm just like applying like Violet had to go to the bathroom in the movie this weekend. And I'm not letting my 13-year-old go to the bathroom by herself. So I just got up like that's a situation right there. Like don't get up and go to the bathroom with your kid. Like, don't let them go to the bathroom by themselves, even as a 13-year-old, because that's who they're looking for. They're, like you said, they're in environments like movie theaters and things like that where there's little kids.
100%.
Yeah, so that's interesting that there's levels and like I never even thought of it like just the first level is to not put yourself in those situations. You have a lot more control than you think.
It really boils down to just common sense. Do you
Hmm.
really need to do that? And the good angel's got to speak better than the bad angel over here.
Hmm.
So one other thing that you can probably take with you is if you know college age kids, um, men or women, a lot of times when you go off to college, it's your first time away from home, and you go to parties. It happens. Uh, don't leave drinks around unattended and then go back to them. Don't let people give you open containers ever,
Ever.
ever.
Or a drink at a bar.
Unless you're standing right there and you've watched everything happen.
Mhm.
Don't do it because there are even bartenders out there that are in
They're in
cahoots
on
with
it.
somebody in the crowd.
Mhm.
So you just gotta. That's another way to be situationally aware. And in a lot of bars, it's very chaotic, so you don't get to see everything. You have to make a decision. Do I want to get that drink right there, or do I want to wait until there's a spot where I can see what's going on?
Mhm.
And it's discipline and it's patience and paying attention. It
Yeah.
really is. If
Well,
you
it's
can't do any of
it's
those
so
things,
innocent, and the things that seem so innocent and so easy are it's just and like I guess just teaching your kids or the young people that it's literally just not worth it. Like they think like, oh, it's just like, oh, it's just a drink, or like once they've had one or two drinks, then the accepting that third drink when they didn't like they're not even now thinking about it, and that's the drink
exactly.
that's gonna do them in. Like it seems so innocent, but just that that moment, that brief moment of making the wrong decision, like cost them their lives. So
A
it's
hundred
like
percent.
it's really it's why it's so freaking scary to be a parent. But because to get them to really understand the consequences of the actions, like so I'm like fully convinced that I definitely want my kids to participate in something like this. Like it's just I feel like it should almost be required in school or something. Like,
So,
can we make
Michael,
this a
It
class?
should be a necessity. It really should. Um, the world is unfortunately there are a lot of bad people in the world. I mean, it's just the way it is. Not everybody you see is good, and like I said, even some people that are too good to be true probably are. And in my past life, I dealt with a lot of people that would come up and just be super happy and hey, how you doing and yada yada yada, and they were the ones trying to hoodwink you
Yep.
almost
And it's
every
it's
time.
not like it was. Unfortunately, the world is different than it was. Like you mentioned that girl on the train in Charlotte that got stabbed or whatever. Like, and then what Heather said about being on a train. Like, had she just chosen a different seat and not had her headphones on, like something simple as that, Like, but that's the world that we live in. Like, it seems so innocent. Like, oh, you get on a train, you relax in the first available seat, put on your headphones, whatever. We can't be like that anymore, unfortunately.
You know, people come to self defense, and I tell Heather and them pretty much all the students this: no matter what you do or how well you prepare yourself, there is always somebody that's bigger, stronger, and faster than you. Um, Sometimes you can train all day long, and it just is not quite good enough. But you let them know you were there.
Mhm.
There are times where they'll sneak up behind you and do things, and if you're not fast enough on the turn, they might get you. You have to know how to get out of like the train incident where the
Mhm.
guy reached over behind her. She didn't know what was going on, and
Right.
by that time, it was pretty much too late. Unfortunately, that's just one of those situations. But there are many others where you can defend yourself. You can make a difference, and even if they get you once, they're not going to get you the second time
Mm.
because now you know what to do. And Heather brought this up earlier about reaction times, and this is really important. And we talk about this a lot in class. It generally takes somebody 2 seconds to react to an action, and you learn this in shooting, by the way. And it works that way in fighting with people that don't necessarily train to fight.
Mhm.
MMA guys and guys like that, they train all the time. Their reaction times are much quicker, or boxers, their reaction times are much quicker than the average person on the street that just might attack you. So if you're good enough and fast enough, and a whole lot of it is not your size, it's how well you perform whatever technique and how fast you are getting out of the situation. Because in 2 seconds, if you say 1,000, 2,000, that is a lot of time for you to throw a couple of kicks and punches in there and get yourself away from them, create space and get out or set up for whatever happens next. Because a lot of times those people are going to try to catch you off guard. So now you've got them away, you've created distance, you got your mind right. Now I'm going to stand my ground if I have to do what I have to do. Otherwise, you punch them in the head, kick them in the groin, and take off running and get out of there. And they can't react within the 2 seconds sometimes, and that's really important.
Yeah. How long of a training like classes do you off like is there like a one-off class? Is it like 6 weeks or is it like I know Heather's done this for years. Like what's the training protocol and the different options
It
that you have?
And
it really
if people are
go ahead.
interested, how do they get in contact with you?
Um, well, you can go to our Instagram site. It's Krav Maga underscore force of one.
I'll tag
Krav
it in
Maga
this
under.
post, by the way.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to tag
And
it on the post
okay.
when I post.
Um, and we have a QR code on that site that it'll take you right to a sign up form. Now, what do we offer? We do seminars. We do 2 and 3 hour seminars for people.
Like a
Those
one-off,
are. I'm sorry.
just like a one-off, like you can
You
go and
can
sign
do
up for.
those. Now, the amount of learning you're going to get out of it is not the same as if you train for longer periods of time.
Mhm.
With any training, you have to practice. You're not going to walk in and you're not going to walk into the room and do it one time and say, "Okay, I'm going to go take on the world." It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
So,
Like with
but
anything. I mean,
right,
if
it
you
is.
don't practice it, you probably won't even remember very much of it if you don't practice it.
But we do the seminars and we do 4 and 6 week women's courses where we go over lower level all the way up to high level defenses, choke defenses, bear hugs, dangerous wrist grabs, some knife work. We do the carjacking and kidnapping outside in the cars in the parking lot. I have taken them out in the nature preserve over there and attacked them in the woods, and they have to fight me off. And as far as uh, belting, now it does take time. If you want to, become a black belt or whatever belt in Krav Maga, it's like anywhere else. It depends on what you put into it. It does take some time. It takes a few years to get it. Uh, there's a lot of material in each level, and we're teaching your body to do something it's not used to doing, and we're teaching your mind to do something that it's not used to doing, and getting the mind body connection to work. And one thing that the bodybuilders and other athletes have is they've worked on mind body connection. So sometimes that gives them a leg up in
Hmm.
martial arts and the things that we do. So um, we have about 9 levels before you can reach black belt. And then you have to test and for all those. Each level does have a test, um, but they're cumulative, but they're doable. Anybody can do it. Heather's done it. Lots and lots of other people have done it. So don't be scared of it. Just come and give it a try. Whatever suits your needs and your lifestyle. Now we're going to start some Zoom classes. When you go to our Instagram site, and you can look through some of the pictures and see what we do in class. Um, just when you do the QR code, let us know what you want. I would suggest that if you do a Zoom class, you have at least one partner because obviously somebody you got to go back and forth. Now you can do things like dry drilling, but it's a little harder if you don't have somebody applying force to you. Okay, um, but yeah, and
And
if
then what about like,
anybody ever,
is it a franchise where they're in different locations? So like if you want to find a location in your city, how would somebody,
I am force of one self defense.
okay.
It is that is my business.
Hmm.
Now, there are lots of Krav Maga locations around the country. Um, just look up Krav Maga, KravMaga,
Tour.
and but I'm in Beaufort, Georgia, at 4949 Lanier Islands Parkway, and we have three group classes a week, kickboxing classes, and we do private lessons, and pretty much all week long. It's according to your schedule. So give us a call.
Hmm.
Angela, maybe we can talk about it offline too. But maybe we can have you meet Michael for a brief stint when y'all are down here.
Yep, for sure.
I won't be able to help you, but I can take you. But it would be cool.
Oh,
And
yeah, for
then
sure. That
you
would be
can
awesome.
even places can set up like you on a salon, not pushing this on you,
Hmm.
but just as an example.
No,
Like if
I
you wanted to
agree.
set up like a 4 weeks course with your salon women via
Hmm.
Zoom, then y'all could set aside like an hour once a week where y'all could all do it together. So you can do it like as a group too,
Hmm.
and that's actually probably the best way to learn via Zoom.
Yeah, definitely. I think I honestly think that that is such a good idea. We have done a self-defense class as a salon, but that was many years ago. And I just think like if you own a business, especially like a salon where it is a lot of young women, like that's and we're in a public space. I told Heather before I actually had a situation when a bad guy came in after dark, and there just happened to be an off-duty female officer getting hair extensions. And
Hmm.
after I'd asked him to leave several times, she came around and showed her weapon and said, I believe the woman asked you to leave. But if she hadn't been there, who knows what would have happened. So that's when we did a self-defense class after that. But I think like,
Well, ladies, I'll
keep
tell
it
you
in their
this.
mind. Yeah.
One other place to contact us is through my email, and it's force of one self defense, one word, force of one self defense, all lowercase, at gmail.com. And that goes directly to me, force of one self defense at gmail.com.
Hmm.
Um, we call it force of one, and we came up with the name because there's not always going to be somebody around to help you, and you should never trust your total security in somebody else. Like you said before, it should be a necessity like drinking water
Hmm.
because that is just the world that we live in.
Hmm.
So please, thank you, ladies, for having me on. Please give us a try,
Thank
give
you
us a
for all of
call.
your
We can talk
time.
about it, and y'all have a nice day.
Thanks,
Thank you
Michael.
so much. I really
Thank you,
appreciate all your time and knowledge. Very
thank you.
helpful. Yeah.
I appreciate you too.
All right, Angela, we got about 5 minutes and then I gotta go. But
Okay.
I thought that was cool. Also, I
Very
got the pink
helpful.
out of my hair. I want
I
that.
actually love your hair. I was having trouble. Of course, I'm going to be like staring at it. So, and you could tell your weave is fresh too. It's
Yeah,
all
girl. It's
healthy.
brand new. Well, I have two types of appointments with her. I have a root touch up and then I have all day. I was there for seven
Yeah.
hours. We take the K-tips out, we do color, we do a keratin treatment, and then we
Hmm.
reinstall.
It's
So
all
they're,
K-tips,
hmm
and there's no wefts in there.
no, they're all
Yeah,
K-tips and
that's a long
they're
time.
rooted. So like
Hmm.
you can't even see them. Like, look at that.
Hmm. No, I really like this color. Like the pink was fun, but like I
No,
think
this
this
is
is
it. This
probably the most
is
flattering color.
Bellamy's, this one's called like a pearl, so uh
Hmm.
it's got the platinum, but the low lights in it. And I just
Yeah,
think
I
it's
can
the best
see.
color because the low lights are actually my natural color. So it's like perfect.
Yeah. No, it is, and it gives you some contrast in it a little bit.
Yeah, it
You know what
does.
I mean?
Some
I like it.
dimension.
I actually get very jealous. I need my hair done so
Waiting to hear
bad.
back about Tanya for next week.
Okay.
And then we have Charissa.
The only thing I thought of that might be a tiny problem is for that Tuesday, the 9th. Is it the 9th, maybe, that
Ninth or
we're
10th.
going? December? I think it's the 9th.
Yeah.
That's the day we travel to Cleveland for his surgery.
Okay.
So I'm like, or like, we could do maybe later in the day or something after there. Like, I can do it when I'm there. I don't care. We just might have to adjust the
Okay.
timing.
We'll
But
figure it out.
was
Because
that
I
the one that
think
we're doing, Carissa?
that might be Meg. And
Okay.
Meg needed to do noon, I think, anyway. Let
Okay.
me talk to her. But we
I mean,
can,
yeah, even if it's
but
just you and
actually, I
Meg, you know
think
what
I
I
may
mean?
have
Like,
double booked them.
okay. Carissa and Meg.
Um,
Does
So
she use Carissa?
no,
Oh,
I thought
okay.
about that too. I was like, we could just have them on together, but she doesn't use her. She
Yeah.
uses a quarter
Oh,
turn, I think.
yeah.
So anyway, I I'll figure it out with Meg and
Yeah,
see when
it's
she's
okay.
available. And I'll make sure I confirm with Teresa because she might not be available anymore. We'll see.
Okay.
But we'll work it out closer to time. We can always do like
Yeah.
Thursday or something that week if we need to.
Yeah. Are we still recording?
Yes,
Oh, okay. So just
I
want
can
to ask
stop
you
it.
about something else.
All
Yeah.
right. Bye, everybody. Thanks
Bye.
for joining. I hope this was super helpful. I will tag Michael's Instagram on the post, and I'll also put his email probably in the comments of the YouTube.